Back again. Alright, let's talk about toys. More specifically, let's talk about Sgt. Rock. One of my favorite comic book characters. When I was a little kid, yeah, I liked to collect comic books and just look at the pictures. And the coolest pictures kind of look at were Sgt. Rock, because who also doesn't love war? Love little green army men. Of course you like war figures. And I remember seeing ads like this for Sgt. Rock figures, although for the life of me, I never recall ever seeing them in stores, or so I thought. I was like, wow, he's got an own action figure line? Looks pretty badass. Granted, this comic book's a few years earlier than probably I was looking, but I used to collect old comic books then too. I had my brother's collection. Seeing ads like this, oh, I wish I had that. Wish I had that. You know, for a few years, probably up until I was about, I don't know, 12, collecting comic books, I always wished I had those figures, not knowing what they even looked like. But turns out I already did have them. Yeah, I already had these figures I thought were just knockoff G.I. Joes. And turns out I even had the man himself. I had Sgt. Rock. I remember getting these as like a 4-pack, probably in a clearance aisle at a TSW back in the day. That is the fate of the fourth guy. He became his arm. That is glue holding it on there. That's like 35-year-old amount of glue. Look, he can still move his arm. Don't want to force it. But yeah, you know, I had these figures forever, and I did not know what line they were. I just thought they were just random generic figures. I remember having a generic, helicopter. They used to sell lots of stuff like this, especially Remco. You know, they'd have their generic He-Man type figures and stuff, which actually were based on DC Comics from Remco. I know there were more ads than just this one, so I probably figured out, they probably had a better picture of what the figures actually looked like back in the day. Or I might have seen it in an old Sears catalog or something. I don't know. But I did figure it out. Took a whole lot of detective work for a kid back all then. Take a quick peek at him right there. We had this guy. He was a villain. He was called the Bad Guys. Sgt. Rock. Random infantry soldier. But once I figured out, seeing as though there was no internet back in the day, I don't remember exactly when or how I figured out these were Sgt. Rock figures. But when I did, all of a sudden, there was a whole new love for these generic, cheap figures. Of course, I never got any of those play sets or anything like that, but yeah, these dudes were pretty fun. You know, before that, I used them as just like green shirts and stuff for the background of my G.I. Joes, and they really do look like crap in comparison. I thought it was just another weird generic figure like this guy. He was made out of die cast. Strangely high quality. He's got rubber arms and the sculpt's pretty good. But is this even part of that line? I don't even know. It looks like it is, sculpt-wise. Then I had this other weird random figure too that was like a knockoff. I don't know what this is. He's a British soldier of some sort. Thinking maybe it's an action man. I remember my dad found this at a work site he was working at and found it buried in a yard and brought it home and gave it to me. I kind of thought he looked like Dabney Coleman in Cloak and Dagger. There's a reference. Go look that movie up. The Three-Fingered Woman was really scary even to this day. But what was up with Remco? I mean, they had Frankenstein glow in the dark, and he was way more high quality. He was, I dare say, with Star Wars quality. These figures, you can see how quality he was. He broke, and I had to glue another guy's arm on there. That ain't no green shirt. That's the man himself. That is Sgt. Rock. See what prestige it is just to give a figure a real name and a character behind it? Before that, you just thought he was a crappy piece of plastic. This guy, if he had a name, oh my god, he probably would have been general for all my G.I. Joes. Yeah, this figure was garbage I found my dad found lying around, and all of a sudden I thought he looked like Dabney Coleman for Cloak and Dagger. Suddenly he's Dabney Coleman from Cloak and Dagger, and you got an awesome figure. It wasn't until I was in my late teens and not even playing with toys anymore that we got more of a real Sgt. Rock figure. If not by name, yeah, it's Sgt. Rock. G.I. Joe line was coming to an end, and they created a new line of guys way bigger. Finally got a Sgt. Rock figure, but he couldn't really mingle with your G.I. Joes. Could with your Visionaries, though. Let's see how many action figure lines I can squeeze into one video. But yeah, he wasn't Sgt. Rock, even though he was designed by the great Joe Kubert. And if you don't know who this is, why the hell did you click on a video talking about Sgt. Rock? It was called Sgt. Savage and his Screaming Eagles, and he was a ripoff of Sgt. Rock by looks, and that he was a World War II soldier, and he got frozen and thawed out in the 1990s, Captain America style. He was supposed to be his freezing chamber, which is just a little plastic bubble. He had a machine gun and some little toolkit box, and I don't know what this is. I think I'm missing a hose. It's supposed to squeeze water or something, but I don't remember a gun to squeeze out. A little removable helmet. Look, he's got a band-aid on his head because he's tough. What a badass figure. Yeah, this figure line didn't last very long, and these guys were peg warmers for years. But here we go. There's my Sgt. Rock figures. Hasbro changed it up. There's no rubber band design in there. That's all one piece, and he's got like little ball joints there for legs. I don't know how they get the arms and the head together. They probably glued them together. It's a good quality figure, even though he's got weird, like the G.I. Joe design's a little bit better. It would have been cooler if they made him as a regular size, but I guess they want to go in a different direction. Cool idea, but only geeks like me, and if they launched it a few years earlier, would have loved like World War II figures fighting in the modern day.